very beginning, which I already wrote. Heard the tornado warning, hid in the bathtub. My dad called and said he was in his bathtub. And he called me back and said he heard the tornado. He went in the garage and saw that the barn was gone. We went to their house to see the damage. This is my story. So I've already written my beginning. So today we're going to move to our middle. Okay, you should be turned around and your body should be calm and you should be listening. Your black folder should be put away. Okay, so writers always need to do their middle to be the longest part of their story. The beginning's a little shorter and the ending's a little shorter, but the middle should always be the longest part, and we should always write step by step what had happened. I don't want you to say I went down the slide and fell down. That's one sentence. You can turn that sentence into 10 sentences. So we are going to do step by step in the middle. That's what we're going to work on. So the way I start my story first, before I go to my middle, I always reread what I've already written before I start writing. So today if I see you go straight to your paper and start writing, I know you didn't listen. We have to reread our beginning first. So I'm going to reread my beginning. Late one night in the spring, I was watching TV in the living room. All of a sudden, the weatherman said, "Tornado warning, take cover." I could hear the wind howling. Then I ran to grab some blankets and yelled to Mary and my husband to get in the bathroom. We climbed into the cold bathtub with our blankets. A few minutes later, the phone rang. It was my dad. He was in his bathtub too. So that was my beginning. Now, I'm not going to write yet. I'm going to kind of act out what happened in the story. Okay? So we were huddled in the bathtub, the three of us and our dog, with our phones, watching the weather on our phones. Okay? We were talking to each other. Then my phone rang again. It was my dad again. He was really nervous sounding on the phone. I'm still huddled in the bathtub. He says, "April, I heard a tornado. I think it hit the house. I think it hit the house." And I said, "Are you okay?" I was really worried about him. "Are you okay?" And at this time, I jumped up in the bathtub. And I got out for a little bit, and I said, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And he said, "Yes, we're okay." And he said, "I'm going to walk out there." And I said, "No, don't walk out there." And he said, "Yes, I'm going to walk out there. It's over." So he walks out, and I can hear him walking. I can hear him open up the garage door. And he says, "The garage is still here. I thought it took the garage." That's good, right? So I said, "That's good." And then he went to look out the window. I could hear him walking across the garage. And he looked out the window and he says, "The barn is gone. It's not there anymore." He says, "I can see your truck," because I had an old truck, a really old, cool-looking truck. I'll have to send y'all a picture. I'll have to show y'all a picture of it in a little bit. Our truck was still there, but it had turned around, he said. He could see that from the window. So the barn was right next to the house. So the tornado almost hit the house. So then he says, "I think you need to come out here when the storm's over." Okay, so that's my middle. Now I could have just said, my dad called me and said the tornado hit the barn. And that's the end of my middle. That's one sentence, isn't it? But that's boring. Wasn't it better with me telling you every single thing, even about him walking? I could hear him walking. I could hear him open the garage door. I could hear him go, didn't get the garage. Because that's what he really thought, was that it hit the garage. And then I could hear him walking to the window, and I could hear him go, you know, what was that word called when people do that? Gasped. He gasped. And he said, "The barn is gone." So let me see if I can find pictures. I'll show you pictures. Okay, I'll show you. So, here's the barn.
Oh my God!
This is the electrical company because it tore down the electrical poles, so they didn't have electricity. But there's the barn. It's just a pile. You can't hardly see it. And then, see, here's the garage. And there's where the barn is. It's a big pile of stuff behind that tree. See the barn? Right
Oh
there.
my gosh!
I'll show you the truck. Here's the truck. It's got a big it's got a big dent right there. Look, there's the barn all the way around it falling over. And there's this.
So
Yes. See the barn right here? It all fell over.
And it fell over the truck?
Yeah. See, it got all dented up. It's all scratched and dented from the tornado. But the tornado didn't take the truck, so that was good, right? Yeah, that was good. Okay, so help me remember what happened, okay? So what did I say first happened in the middle? Chase. What were we doing? Yeah. Okay, but first we were huddled in the bathtub, right? Then my dad called. Then what happened, Emma?
So then he walks out. He calls you,
Mm-hmm.
and then he walks.
He said, what did he say when he called you? You forgot? What did he say, Corbin?
I'm gonna go outside.
Well, he said, I think a tornado hit the house. I'm going to go outside. Yes. And I said, what? No. And he said it was over. And then what happened? I heard him what? I heard him what, Gracie?
Walking.
I heard him walking, and then what did he do?
Yeah.
Then he what, Grant?
He opened the door to the garage.
He opened the door to the garage, and then what did he say? Heather?
He said he gasped and said the barn was gone.
Oh, not yet. He said, the garage is still there. And then I heard him do what? Walk. Well, he walked to the what? The window, and then what, Xavier?
He gasped and said the barn's gone.
The barn is gone, but the truck's still there. Very good. So you remember detail by detail. Okay, before I write my middle, we just talked about how we do things step by step. That's what we're going to be working on our middles when we write the middle of our story. So we're going to practice it. So our thing that we're learning, it's details. Tell what characters in the story did small step by small step. So I want you to look here at this story. I went to the backyard and climbed a tree. Well, there's lots of things I could think of that could happen as you went out backyard and climbed a tree. Lots of things. So I want you to talk to a partner right now. So turn it up. So Chase and Kinsler, Heather and Kate, Lily and Sadie, Emma and Grant, Emsley and Sydney, Isaiah and Corbin, Xavier and Wyatt, and Cooper. Cooper, go with them two, and then Blaze and Grace. Does everyone have a partner? Okay, talk about how you could break this down step by step. Go ahead. Okay, how did I get to the backyard? What did I do? Gracie?
Walked out the door.
Okay. You walked out the door. Okay. How about I opened the door and stepped outside. Okay. So I stepped outside. Okay. Then what? Heather? Okay. I saw my dad mowing. Okay, then what? Xavier? Then I'm going to use the word then, because remember we use our time words. Then I ran through the yard to the tall tree. How about the tallest? Maybe you have lots of trees. The tallest tree. Okay. Then what did I do? What did I do next, Xavier? I mean, not Xavier. Sorry, I meant Isaiah. You just went. How do you climb a tree? You just start climbing? What do you got to do?
I stepped on the lowest branch and then the next one and then the next one.
Okay, but you can't really step on the lowest branch. What do you got to use to get to the first branch?
A ladder.
A ladder or what else? Reach with what?
Your hand.
My hand. So maybe I looked up, right? You look up at a tree when you're trying to figure out how you're going to climb it, right? I looked up to see how to climb it.
Did I climb the phone?
No. When you're going to climb a new tree, you never climb before, you got to look up at it and decide what's the best way to go, right? Yeah. Okay. I grabbed a branch and put my feet on the trunk. Or, yeah, we could have said we'd jump up. I grabbed a branch and put my feet on the trunk. Or you could have said I jumped up and grabbed the branch. Yeah. And swung. Then, next, I climbed higher and higher until I got to the top. Now, I turned one sentence into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sentences. You can do that. Yes, you can. It said I went to the backyard and climbed the tree. I said I opened the door and stepped outside. I saw my dad mowing. Then I ran through the yard to the tallest tree. I looked up to see how to climb it. I grabbed a branch and put my feet on the trunk. Next, I climbed higher and higher until I got to the top. So you guys are going to do step by step, little by little in your story. Just little by little. Okay, just a little by little. Okay, let's look at another one. My dad and I went to the top of the water slide and then slid down.
No.
Okay, talk to your partner again how you can do that. Step by step. Okay, so my dad and I went to the top of the water slide and then slid down. So let's talk about getting up to the top of the water slide. How am I going to get up to the top of this water slide? Grant?
It's a ladder.
It's not ladders when we go to the water park. What is it?
Steps.
Steps, the stairs, yep. So it's my dad and I. So my dad and I, let's say excitedly, right? You're excited, or maybe sometimes scared, climbed the stairs. We climbed step by step, higher and higher. Okay, so you're climbing higher and higher, and then where do you go? When you climb higher and higher and higher, what do you get to? What do you get to, Lily? The slide. They call that the platform at the top. Okay, then we reached, then we finally reached, some of those stairs are forever long, the top, and stood on the platform. Okay. Then what? Then what? I haven't had a chance yet. Emma.
Then we finally went down the water slide.
Okay, so how do you go down the water slide? What do you got to do?
Sit down and lay back.
Yeah, but when you're with somebody, you sit on a what?
A tube.
A tube. That's right. Okay. So when it was our turn, we sat down on the tube together. Now, if you've been to a water slide, you just don't go. What's got to happen?
Get away.
No, someone does something to you.
They push you.
Yeah. We sat down in the tube. The lifeguard, that's called a lifeguard, the person that does that. The lifeguard pushed us. We went down. What would you do when you start going down? Yeah, I screamed. What would a dad do? I bet he would. My dad would laugh. And my dad laughed because I'm screaming. Okay, so look how much we wrote.
My dad.
Well, this was just one sentence. My dad and I went to the top of the water slide and then slid down. Now I wrote all this. My dad and I excitedly climbed the stairs. We climbed step by step, higher and higher. Then we finally reached the top and stood on the platform. When it was our turn, we sat down on the tube. The lifeguard pushed us. We went down. I screamed and my dad laughed. Now, we are not going to write yet today, but on Tuesday, you're going to start writing your middle step by step. You're going to write what you did step by step in your middle. I'll do mine, and then you're going to do yours.